What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. It's been a little while since I made a video. I'm so excited to finally get this down. I've been wanting to make this video for the last 2 weeks since I had the idea about it, and here it is. You can see the title, Racism is Pointless, and I'm going to explain why racism is pointless or prejudice or all these other ideas based around the way somebody looks or their background or their skin color, things like that. Why it is indeed pointless when you really start to understand what life is all about and how there's no real difference from person to person or culture to culture at the energetic level, at the spiritual level. And there's a really important section in Journey of Souls that addresses this, which I haven't made a video about yet, even though I read the book some time ago. And it's all about the process of life selection. So we're going to talk about life selection today, which is interesting in and of itself, but I do think it also sheds some really nice light on this idea of, oh my gosh, this particular race is this way or that way or whatever, and we have all these preconceived notions. I'm talking about folks that do fall into the trap of racist thoughts and ideologies and whatnot. But it's like when you really understand what's going on, it's a bit silly to have these ideas. So we're gonna go into exactly why. And actually, before I start with the excerpts, let me say this. I think what you're gonna see is a great analogy for life and life selection in particular is just like when we open up a new video game, maybe we enter into a virtual world and we choose a particular avatar and we want it to be from this background because we want our journey to be a bit more challenging, or we choose that avatar because we want to play this role in the game versus a warrior. We want to be a hunter. We want to be a caretaker. We want to be whatever, just for the fun of it, right? Just for the fun of it, or because we want that challenge. We want to take on the character that has a more difficult role in the game because we crave that challenge for whatever reason. Now, think how silly it would be for then people within the game to now judge every person taking on a particular role or from this joining this tribe or that tribe in the game is like, no, they're actually a bad person and these guys are this way and nobody good comes out of that tribe. It's like they're just playing a character. They're just choosing the avatar for the sake of the game for fun, for a particular reason, whatever it may be, and you're making this broad judgment when at the end of the day, that's just a choice that they've made in this particular setting. And that's kind of how I think I've come to understand, based on Journey of Souls and based on these other books that I've read thus far, that's how I've kind of come to understand life selection. So without further ado, let's get into some of these excerpts so I'm not just talking here and I can explain with some good citation. So life selection, let's talk about it. So first of all, hold on, I think I can make this a little bit bigger here. There we go, that looks better. So first of all, let's talk about life selection. So it says, in the place of life selection, our souls preview the lifespan of more than one human being within the same time cycle. So again, it's not a definitive thing like you're just sent into, you have no choice, you have one. You're looking at multiple different possible, I guess you could say, avatars or humans or families to join. And by the way, it's never forced upon you. They talk over and over in Journey of Souls and these other books about the idea of free will. Everything is a choice, but you get nudged, you get guidance, recommendations, etc. But ultimately, you have to make the choice. And so we all come. And I've made other videos about ultimate responsibility that hinges on this idea that everything is our choice ahead of time. We're not forced into anything. We're not placed into this life by force. It's all our choice. So just as a reminder, we must accept our fate or try to do our best to accept our fate. I think it'll just make us happier. In the place of life selection, our souls preview. Okay, so when we leave this area, so this is the life selection area, most souls are inclined toward one leading candidate, talking about a body or a life in particular, presented to us for soul occupation. However, our spiritual advisors give us ample opportunity to reflect upon all we have seen in the future before making a final decision. This chapter is devoted to the many elements that go into that decision. So then there's a deliberation process. Our deliberations over body alternatives actually begin before we go to the place of life selection. Souls do this in order to adequately prepare themselves for viewing certain people in different cultural settings on earth. So again, when we're in this spot, we're looking at different lives and different backgrounds, not because we're like, hey, I want to be Indian and I don't want to be, or I want to be a particular, it's probably not because of that. We're looking at the way that this particular life in these settings, with these pressures, with these dilemmas, with these difficulties, and with these benefits, whatever it may be, how it's going to be a learning vehicle and a learning lesson for us. Kind of like in a video game. If you're jumping into a video game, I'm going to look at these things. What's going to be the most fun for me, or what's going to teach me this skill the best? It's kind of the same thing, but for our spirit. Okay. I sense those souls who set up the screening room know in advance what to show us because of the thoughts in our minds. Great care must be taken in choosing just the right body to serve us in our life, in the life to come. As I've said, guides and peer group members are part of this evaluation process, both prior to and after we visit the place of life selection. So again, coming back to the idea that lives are there for us to learn. That is the in so many words, that is like the central theme that I'm extrapolating from all these different NDEs and from all these different books that I'm reading. That is the central theme to our lives. We are here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to learn by trying, by making mistakes, by giving our best effort. But that's essentially what it boils down to. When listening to my subjects describe all the preparations that go into, picking a physical body, I'm constantly reminded of the fluidity of spiritual time. Our teachers use relative future time in the place of life selection to allow souls to measure human usefulness for working on unfinished lesson plans. So it's again, we're coming back to earth, or coming back to whatever physical manifestation we're returning to for the purpose of accomplishing these life lessons, learning. Blueprints for the next life vary in the degree of difficulty for the soul mind sets for itself. If we have just come off an easy life, meaning a life with little difficulty, making little interpersonal progress, our soul might want to choose a person the next time cycle who will face heartache and perhaps tragedy. Just another note, this gives you another way to look at difficulties in life as opportunities, okay? And I know that can be way easier said than done. Some people might feel like me saying this right now could even be insensitive, but this is not me saying this. This is me reading and understanding this. And I got to say, for me, when I hear this, it uplifts me, because when I am going through a tough time or a difficult time, or something's not all perfect how I want it to be, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is an opportunity for me to learn, for me to experience. Even just experiencing probably those negative emotions and having to deal with that is a learning lesson, I imagine. Okay. We choose our looks. Now, this is also a very important thing, right? This, again, goes back to the idea of why racism is kind of silly. This idea of making massive judgments and like disliking groups of people based on, like, we're choosing where we're going. Everybody is choosing for particular reasons. And it's like we all come from this general homogeny of energy. It's not like we only certain energies, at least this is my understanding from everything I'm reading. It's not like certain energies can go in certain races. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with that. We have free choice, and we're choosing based on what's going to be best for us to move forward and to progress. So anyways, we choose our looks. Check this out. Before taking up the more complex mental factors and soul decision to join with the brain of a human baby, I'll begin with the physical aspects of body choice. Despite the fact that our souls know in advance what they are going to look like, a national survey in the United States indicated 90% of both males and females were dissatisfied with the physical characteristics of their bodies. This is the power of conscious amnesia. Conscious amnesia is the notion that we have essentially unlimited access to all information when we're in the ethereal plane. But when we come to Earth, the point of fully immersing ourselves in this experience, or to further that point, we come in having tabula rasa, everything blank. And essentially, for the most part, everything that we know in our minds are things that we've acquired or learned throughout the course of this life, but nothing else. We don't carry in all this other infinite knowledge and information that we would otherwise have access to. So anyways, this is a part of conscious amnesia. Much unhappiness is created by society stereotyping an ideal appearance, yet this too is part of a soul's lesson plan. So even that dissatisfaction, I suppose, which we all experience, myself included, of like, man, I'm not good enough, or I wish I had this different about me or that different about me. I guess it's all part of the plan. And hey, goes back to the idea of pink tourmaline, right? The idea of self-love, just self-acceptance, and trying to be truly happy with what you got, who you are, etc. Now, I think this is the last slide here. This is about the notion of karmic compensation, but this goes back to the idea of, to some extent, why we're here and why we experience certain things, why we have certain difficulties. It's about karmic compensation, potentially, at least. This is one of the ideas that's brought forth, a reference back to the Hindus. Says, The two past lives I've represented in this case were largely devoted to physical choices for soul actualization in two quite different environments. Souls search for self expression by developing different aspects of the character, regardless of what physical or mental tools are used through the use of many bodies. The laws of karma will prevail. If the soul chooses one extreme somewhere down the line, this will be counterbalanced by an opposite choice to even out development. My point in telling you this, showing you this excerpt, is it's not about, I want to be in this body and I want to have this look. It's about learning and also balancing out past lives, karmic debts, etc. If you wrong somebody in another life, you may have to be wronged in the next life to balance yourself out. In this example, they say the physical lives of Leth and Ashley are examples of karmic compensation. The Hindus believe a rich man sooner or later must become a beggar for his soul to develop adequately. So you experience both realities, to have a well-rounded learning experience. Okay, so coming back to the original point here at the beginning, now we can see there's so much that goes into why we might choose a particular body beyond just the pure like skin color, beyond the physical appearance. Am I going to find myself, am I going to be considered globally like attractive physically or not? It goes so beyond that. And on top of that, we're pre-selecting everything that we have in this life. We're pre-selecting it before we even come here, and we're part of that choice. So it is kind of interesting also, just as an aside, unrelated to the racism thing, but it is kind of interesting when we do have this, when a lot of people, probably most people, like 90%, as they said, have this strong like dissatisfaction with how we look when we knew what we were going to look like. It's kind of interesting. But again, that's the product of the conscious amnesia. But anyways, I hope this is interesting in terms of how we select lives, why we select particular bodies, etc. But lastly, I hope you do take this away. If you are making certain judgments about this group of people or that group of people, bear this in mind. We're all the same on the inside, spiritually, energetically, etc. And we're choosing these different bodies, these different vehicles for the process of learning, not to satisfy other people by all looking the same or behaving the same or being the same. It's not, from what I'm gathering, it's not about that. So food for thought. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you found this video useful, helpful, enlightening, uplifting. I hope it was all the above. And that's it. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.